talk. It was kind of bubbling our last chat, but we didn't really address it. We talked about another controversial guy. Well, since then, we gotta address this because let's talk about, but let's not obviously go into the sexy part of being a prisoner of the moment. Let's kind of take it back, man. Let's go back from a nostalgic purpose and how this individual, he really was, a part of, he gave us the zeitgeist of our youth, our younger years, his soundtrack, his company, and all the things. And we talked about one of his flagship artists last time. But you gotta give Sean Puffy Combs, from a musical standpoint, he contributed a lot to the culture, which makes this so hard and egregious thing he did to just like, man, not you. You was such a great ambassador for the culture. So, because let's take it from the rise and the fall, man, of Diddy and Bad Boy Records, and I'll let you kind of go into it and enter and exit it however you choose. Sir.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the rise, look at what the rise was, man. Look at how he made his bones. We'll start even, from what I know, my frame of reference was him being at Howard. And the early stories you hear about Diddy at Howard throwing parties. My sister was a student at Howard during that time when he was throwing parties and when he was a student at Howard. Now, obviously, he was really, really good at that. Probably not so good at so many other things. But a lot of these folks who are like Diddy, when they do things like that, they tend to be able to get off the track. When they see success, they're going to get it and they're going to run with it.
Okay.
So he leaves Howard, goes back home to New York. Kind of works in promoting, then finds a way to be able to do the internship, and then gets hired by the late great Andre Harrell and Uptown Records, becomes an A&R for them. So what does he do as an A&R and eventually a producer for Uptown Records? Well, he's very instrumental in finding two acts that were very instrumental in our generations and generation before us youths, and Jodeci and Mary J. Blige.
Yes, sir.
And what really that era of R&B helped usher in was R&B that didn't necessarily have to be, I don't know, let's say sweet and sappy, and it had a hip hop feel to it, but it was still really R&B. It wasn't R&B trying to be rap. It was still really great R&B music. The music from a standpoint in regards to production, composition, quality was bar none. And a lot of these records, Diddy himself wasn't producing the records, but like we talked about Dr. Dre in one of our last cigar chats. What is he? He's like the executive chef at a restaurant. Now, you may not necessarily, you can go on and do a little something on the grill or on the line, but if you can get the best damn person cooking a steak, making a baked potato, making pasta, doing that dessert, you got yourself a perfectly cooked meal because you got the best of whoever is doing it right there in the kitchen doing it for you. And you're looking at the plate, you're making sure everything looks good before it goes out, and that standards and qualities are right there as well.
Yes, sir.
So with the emergence of Mary J. and also of Jodeci during that time period, right around 91, 92.
Yeah, man.
You had an era of R&B that was ushered in really when you start going into late 92 and then 93, 94, that was the direction that R&B music was going into, right?
Yes,
now, we're not going to say that obviously they were the ones who started this movement. Obviously, this is in the midst of also a New Jack Swing. And during this period, New Jack Swing was kind of on the downslope and on its way out popularly. So there had to be something that was as popular as New Jack Swing that could have some staying power, considering how big hip hop was becoming. And he found a way to be able to, not just through the music, but then through the imaging of both of those artists as well. I mean, you look at the way that Mary dressed and the way that Jodeci dressed. They didn't dress like R&B singers, They didn't, but they had style, they had swagger, they had relatability. And in the case of Jodeci, with their main audience demographic being women, they had a certain sex appeal about them, right?
Correct.
And with Mary, when you saw her and listened to her, everybody kind of looked at Mary and saw somebody from around their way or like her,
Yep.
And so his genius was being able to get the people together and the formula together to have those two artists blow up as big as they did. And then from that point on, the writing was kind of on the wall. When you break two artists like that, production wise, lead the effort as an A&R and a producer, there's only but so much you can do being in a pond with a guy like Andre Harrell at Uptown. So what happens? Andre and Sean can't be king of the same jungle, as Diddy said in the Notorious movie. He had to go. And he goes, looks for his own opportunities, trying to get a distribution deal, wants to start his own label, is getting acts, finding acts, and is able to land in what lands in his lap is the matter of someone like Craig Mack, and then eventually Notorious B.I.G. You know, then the domino effect of all the different things coming into place of the different artists that would join his label over the next 3 to 4 years, which would leave a legacy and also an impact on the culture as well. I mean, not just the people who weren't signed to Bad Boy, that were just affiliated, the Junior Mafias with Lil C's and Lil Kim, the signing of and the singers being there to continue that legacy of R&B, hip hop, soul, being Faith and Total, and eventually 112. Then also being able to find an artist like Mace that gave you something a little bit different. And everybody didn't stay along for the ride along this way. Everybody knows. Biggie's death, Craig Mack leaving the label. Eventually everybody moves on after a certain point in time.
That's true.
I mean, Mace left, but what Diddy did, not just with the artist that he had, and I said everything was about making sure that you serve as that executive chef, right? And yeah, he was on the records saying a lot of ad libs and stuff like that, but he kind of knew what worked. When you're a party promoter and you know what people like, his key was being able to understand that if you get him on the radio and you get him in a club, you got him, right? If you get him in the radio and you get him in the club, then you got him. And so that was his meal ticket. So having put all that together, and then after tragically losing his biggest artist on his label, having the label not even 4 to 5 years old at that point. Damn. He steps up and decides to become a featured artist himself, which I kind of feel like always was on the cards. Eventually, him coming out with his own album, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, people was writing his rhymes for him. They were producing the tracks and stuff for him. But with the music, the stuff that he had, it worked. What he did worked for him. Nobody was ever lauding Diddy as one of the best hip hop artists and MCs out there. No, he was strictly an entertainer. What he sold was entertainment. What he sold is,
he did that.
I'm gonna make you groove. I'm gonna make you dance. I'm gonna make you feel good, and that was his selling proposition. And he took that and folded it into so many different other things. Businesses, brands aligned with his businesses. And even as he lost artists, he still continued to thrive and kind of was always in the center of the culture, even when he began to expand outside of the culture and the other, like the fashion world and the business world. He was always kind of at his core, always hip hop, no matter what.
Yes, sir.
And the one thing that I will respect about him is that he never went outside of that circle and forgot who he was, even if he became big time, right? But he was always going to make sure that he was rooted inside of what his roots were, and that was in hip hop music. So we give Diddy his flowers for that, no doubt. Now, on the other things, of course, when we talk about the fall, what made Diddy great is probably also what led to his downfall as well. And this is even before the allegations we're talking about with the lawsuit with Cassie, the things that have come out now recently about these allegations and the video that we all unfortunately had to see. But there had been stories and sort of smoke in the air about the way that he was even back in the 90s. There had been rumors about how the way he had been abusive towards people and, had a badass attitude and he had a temper. We all know what the club incident with him and J-Lo happened up that landed Sean in jail for however many years. There was, obviously a lot of, we look at what the history is of artists on his label and what they do immediately after they leave. Craig Mack
turned to a preacher.
Yeah, and now it's gone.
And now it's gone.
Biggie, Say No More. You know, Mace was here. Then all of a sudden he leaves and decides to enroll in college and then becomes a preacher as well. Decides to try to become a preacher as well.
Right.
Toto was with Diddy for a while, had 2 really good albums on Bad Boy, and then they split and they left. 112. 2, 3 really, really good albums.
Really good albums.
And now, but let's hold on. So this is the one thing I say that when it comes to Bad Boy, that one of the most underappreciated aspects of what Bad Boy did was 112. And how people, and I feel like they caught it kind of get undersold because of the era, right? Because they were in that era with Drew Hill, they were in that era with Jagged Edge, you know, and I think people started to undersell them. I tell a lot of folks, man, 112's debut album, I put up against either one of those debut albums or a few albums in their discography. Like, it was phenomenally produced, right? Phenomenally produced. But after 112, after that 3rd album, and they left, it was, you know, things kind of went to, you know, hell in a handbasket for them as well. Then we can get down to the G-Daps. G-Dap just got released from prison this year. Okay.
Shit, he been gone about 15 damn years. How long his ass been gone?
Sean did a bid in prison for Biggie, eventually became Jewish, and now is I don't know if he's the prime minister of Belize or
he's something.
Government official of Belize.
He's a government official of Belize. Some states
and senior government official in Belize, where his family is from. It's just crazy when you look at what has happened to folks, but he always maintained, you know, his spot. He was always on top. And then now, all of a sudden, he decides to give everyone back their publishing.
After it ain't worth nothing, though. It ain't worth shit, though.
Oh, no, that Biggie's catalog is worth something.
Oh, that Biggie. Well, he didn't get that one back, did he? Did he get that back to
He gave that one to his kids.
Okay.
I think he gave it back to his kids. Okay. But he gave his artists back their publishing, or whatever he did that he owed them. Okay. Finally. You know? But there have been talks about, I mean, shoot, I have been hearing the rumors of people by folks from New York about Diddy and his sexual proclivities.
Man.
For years. It's been out there on the periphery. Been willing to pay attention. It's been out there. So when these stories came out about Diddy, I was not that surprised. And then the whole thing about Cassie, when that came out, I kind of been thinking that was what was going on because they was together for way too long and nothing was happening. They wasn't married. They weren't none of that. And then when the shit came out in the lawsuit, I'm like, damn, this shit is bad. And as bad as it is, it's actually not that unbelievable considering all the stuff that I've heard about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens to guys like Diddy when you become a billionaire, and this is important to note, when you get to that status of becoming a billionaire and you become arrogant, the fall is that much more spectacular when you think you unfuckwittable.
Ooh, you said something there. B.Cox, say that one more time.
When you become a billionaire, and you're a black man at that.
Please throw that in there.
The fall is that much more spectacular when you think you're unfuckwittable because of your money and power. And nonetheless, let's not fake the funk here. For those of y'all who don't know what's going on, white America is going to make sure they know you fall on your ass and how hard you fell on your ass when eventually you do. Because Diddy literally has been telling them to kiss his ass for the last 25 years because he can afford to do so.
Correct.
But once the stuff came out about the allegations, man, and they, like dude said on OJ, what Made in America documentary, he said it's about OJ. It applies to Diddy. All them folks in corporate America that was willing to sit with Diddy because he made them money, they was like, once you do some stuff like that, they will zip your nigga suit up on you real quick and leave you hanging.
Zoop, put that nigga suit on you real quick.
I mean, look at all the deals he lost, man.
Yeah.
I mean, so was it worth it? I'm pretty sure he would say yes. But, you know, what I will say this is I will appreciate what he helped to bring, the era and the memories that he gave me and my generation. Absolutely. It doesn't excuse anything that he's done, but he definitely played a pivotal role in helping to shape the soundtrack of that part of many of our lives by the artists that he helped bring to the forefront. He gave people opportunities. And no matter whether he did them wrong or didn't do them, you know, or did them right, he did it. You know,
right. Well said, B.Cox. Well said. You know, I'll just end it up on this note. You know, my only thing was this: I will never take away his contributions to the culture, what he did, what he gave us. My only thing is this: to all those people, them women that were around him, they knew that shit was going on. The other people that were around him knew that shit was going on. Don't say shit now, because you knew damn well it had been going on. So all I'm saying now you want to talk? You want to say something now?
Yeah.
No, that shit been going on. So hey, but anyway, Malcolm X said the roosters, man. You know the chickens always come home to roost. They come home to roost, man.
Yeah.
So hey, them goddamn chickens come and they roosting like a motherfucker, and that's all I'm gonna say about his ass.
100%. 100%.
Because we on the East Coast, man. Hey, man, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So we on the East Coast right now. I want to stay right there in New York, but I'm gonna go